I'm particularly excited for today's video because we'll be deep diving into the world of design and artificial intelligence. I have the pleasure of speaking with Moshokwe, who is a product designer at Meta, and we'll be tackling the burning question on every product designer's mind, which is, will AI take over our jobs? To start us off, could you introduce yourself? So tell us more about what you do for work and share about your journey into product
Okay,
design.
thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Moshape. I'm a product designer at Meta, a senior product designer here. I've been at Meta for like about a year and 10 months now, and I work as an enterprise designer. Before then, I worked at KPMG here in Canada. And before moving to Canada, I was in Nigeria where I worked for companies like Andela and Conga. I started my career off as a graphic designer, studied geology in university, found graphic design, freelance for a bit, started working as a graphic designer. And later on, I then started pivoting into UI design, took a boot camp, switched fully when I moved to Canada. And it's been an amazing journey ever since.
The reason why I always ask people for their journey into product design is because I want everyone to know that everyone or everybody's journey isn't exactly the same. You can pivot into product design regardless of what background you have. Okay, guys, we're going to dive into the topic of today. So, we have a lot of buzz around AI, and there's a lot of uncertainty around the impact to different industries. In tech specifically, there's the fear that AI would dominate and leave people jobless. I would like to know Moshakpe's take on this.
Just to give a caveat before we start, my opinions are mine. They don't represent the opinion of the company I work for, and these are just my personal views. Okay, it's cool. So let's dive into the question: will AI take our jobs as designers? My personal opinion is right now, in the present moment that we're in, I don't think so. I don't believe it's going to take our work yet. Now, maybe as AI evolves in the next couple of years, something new and fantastic might come up. Like, AI might be able to read emotions, AI may be able to, understand the human psyche and all that. Then maybe. But right now, I believe AI is a tool to help you to do your work better, to help to automate your process and reduce some of the stress that you're currently experiencing in your work. And this kind of boils down to the kind of designer that you are. But if, for example, your work is just a visual representation, there's some AI tools that can mimic that. So customers that don't really care about the user, that don't just want to get something out, you know, they just want screens to push you screens. That's then your job might be at risk because of that. But at the moment, my answer will be no. I don't think it's going to be coming to take our jobs right now.
Thanks for that answer. So, if I could summarize all that you said,
Mhm.
right? You said that AI won't take your job if you're a product designer that goes beyond just having visual design skills, also include like business needs, then you're good.
Yep, exactly. You're good, and like the AI tools should help you to do your work
Mhm,
better. They shouldn't
mhm.
take over completely what you're doing, and it's supposed to support the work you do, and we might get to talk about that later on. But the work we do as product designers, like I mentioned, we are doing stakeholder management. AI can't help you to talk to your product manager or to speak with you, share your vision with your team, your engineers. AI can't do that for you. You have to do that yourself. AI might give you some prompts or ideas on what to do, but I don't think AI can give you can really know your business unless you feed it with a lot of information to be able to create something unique that solves the problem. Human beings are very unpredictable. Even at times when in our product work you've done research, you've brainstormed, everybody has done a sprint, we all agree, yes, this is the right solution. You might release it in the market and it doesn't hit.
In addition to that, sometimes some ideas are too early to the market,
Mhm.
and so it might be a great idea, but then
Timing
if
is
it's too
wrong.
early, the timing is wrong,
Yeah,
then it doesn't work out
yeah,
well.
exactly. And this kind of made me remember, back in the days when I used to do graphic design, and if you're an OG designer here, listening to this, you might be able to relate. Back then, when you want to crop a picture or remove a background and stuff, you had to manually use your pen tool or your lasso tool or whatever. But now there are AI tools that just drop the picture in there, it removes the background for you. Bam. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to stress yourself on the manual labor. It leaves you enough time to then do the creative stuff.
I'd like us to dive in deeper into what she said, or dig in deeper into what she said, that AI won't take our jobs, but we'll need to leverage AI in our day-to-day work as product designers to work smarter and better. Can you share practical tips and strategies for product designers to work smarter and faster by using AI
Okay,
tools?
that's fantastic. And I'll take a look at it of the different parts or different, areas that we currently work in as designers. If you're doing exploratory research, for example, competitive analysis, things like competitive analysis, you're writing like, a problem statement, you're really crafting a brief for a particular thing that you want to work on. You want to generate like, user personas and all that stuff. Some of those you can use AI prompts to be able to steer and guide the conversation and give it prompts to, save the stress of writing, like, doing a competitive research. Tell it, hey, I'm working on XYZ. Look at the following brands, or here's their website. Look at their service offerings and do an analysis and let me see, like, generate insights for me. And you can refine the prompt to get something very solid. And of course, you won't just take that and copy and paste and go around with it. You do some cross checking, but that saves you the countless hours of coming through their website, reading things and all that. It saves you a lot of time. So you can use it in that particular way. Also, too, if your persona is like, kind of really broad persona, you can use to generate like, hey, we have the following users and all that, like, based on XYZ. Give us some information about them, and it gives you the information about them. It also, too, if you're coming up with your own documents, like your own requirement documents, your own templates, AI can able to quickly generate, those templates that you can feed in your information to make your work really faster. And also, like, when it comes to the area of exploration, some design tools can also help you to like brainstorm on design patterns, like, give it some prompt. I haven't tried that before, but can give it some prompts to say, hey, like, I'm exploring XYZ kind of application. It generates ideas for you that you can use. And ultimately, for example, copywriting is not my strongest suit, but you can some of these amazing tools right in your designs. You can ask to generate, all your lorem ipsum text, generate real content that fits into what I'm working on, and it generates that for you. Generates SEO content. All you have to do is edit it, rework and all. Some can even generate image assets like that you need, like illustration that you need for your site. So at different phases of the work, this really really can really help you to move fast. So
Thanks for sharing all that. Like, I like the way you took it from like exploration up to design, and then even in terms of like maybe execution. So could you provide examples of like some of the tools that we could leverage as product
okay,
designers?
fantastic. And to start with, if you haven't heard about ChatGPT now, maybe you're under a rock, or you're not just on social media or anywhere, which is fine.
Yeah.
But if it's your first time hearing about ChatGPT, it's OpenAI's amazing AI tool that has been taking the world by rave in the last couple of months. A lot of people have been using it. If you haven't tried it before, try it out. It's pretty amazing. ChatGPT is a very amazing place to start from, especially when it comes to like, broad things. It's how it works is you type in a particular prompt, you say, hey, can you do this for me? AI, and then it gives you results and you can then refine. Google released their Google Bard recently, BARD, but I haven't used it before. So, and I haven't really read much about it. So I can't speak about that right now. If you use Notion, for example, Notion is an amazing tool organizer. Like, use it to write your notes. I used it in the past in one of my previous jobs, where I store all my documentation, all my product requirements, everything, all is in Notion. Notion also released their own AI, and it's pretty amazing. It can help you, like, look at your past patterns, write content for you, help you to generate pretty the mundane stuff. So if you're a knack for organization, you can use Notion AI to write all your notes, keep all your things in place.
Yeah, I was going to add that, like, in terms of like generating copy or content, we have Copy.ai. Copy.ai is one that I've used to ask you for some details around the project you're working on, and then to help you generate like copy options. And if you are, say, a product designer who is the only designer on the team, or maybe in a small team where you do not have UX writers or content writers, then that would be a great tool or asset.
Yeah. And the next one is one that you might have heard about. Like, I've tried it also too, pretty amazing. It's called Mind Journey. And Mind Journey, like, you've seen people, create all this crazy images like, oh, Elon is kissing a robot and all that stuff. For example, if you want, like, you're looking for a very inclusive image, like inclusive image of like, oh, like a black person, or, or this kind of demographic of people that may not be represented on all these stock image websites, it can generate the image for you, and then you're able to put that in your design, to kind of accentuate it. Another one is another tool in the similar one, and you mentioned that earlier, Grace. It's called Dall-E, Dall hyphen E. And this Dall-E kind of like, generates things from scratch. So you give it a prompt, you can upload images also too, and it generates this amazing creatives from 3D to abstract to, whatever you want, name it. It's all in there. So these tools can really help your visual work, especially if you need something, very kind of really very specific. Adobe recently released a tool called Adobe Firefly. And what it does for you is to, generate very creative, explorative images like, 3D representations, landscape, oil paintings, just based on prompts.
It does help to save time because I find that like sometimes I get really frustrated when I go online. I'm looking for really specific image, and I'm like, oh, where are the images? I check all the websites, and I'm like, okay, I can't find anything. And then I'm thinking, okay, how do I work around this? So I guess that any AI tool that helps generate images would then come in at that point to kind of cut down the amount of time you're using to think of, okay, where do I find this image? So your process becomes faster, smoother, and all. You mentioned about some tools might help you generate like UI screens.
Hmm.
I have seen a couple of them on social media where you just need to put a prompt to say generate a like a UI design for so kind of business, and it then generates it. I guess it's a good starting point because then you can say, okay, this add all the elements that has gone into the screen, so it kind of helps you think to say, okay, would this work for my particular kind of
Hmm.
situation? And maybe in future it can get really like much more developed in the sense that it then even drills into some of the needs that you might have, like needs and
Hmm.
constraints. But I guess we're not there yet, which is why, as Moshope has mentioned previously, that we would need to then do beyond just doing like designs, like the UI part of it. You then need to level up in the sense that what you are doing or what you're delivering can't be given to you by like an AI tool. So that way your job doesn't go
Yep,
extinct.
exactly. And to kind of add to that, like, if you're purely like a UI design, there are amazing designers that UI designers that work with user experience designers, where the UX designer would, come up with the flow and all that and say, hey, here are my chicken scratches, you know what to do. And you then take it to the next level, like, of crafting of fidelity that really, and it's also very good for you to understand, like, have a background of where this business is, and also that you're not coming up with a generic solution, something that fits the brand need and all. If you work within
Yeah.
enterprise where you're working on complex things, maybe not now, the tools aren't able to create crazy dashboards and all that stuff. But imagine if, for example, you're designing a software for accountants and you need to create a dashboard for accountants. To you, or to the layman's view, it might be an ugly interface. Like, oh, ew. They might look ugly, but it helps the accountant to be able to, the stock or the stock trader to be able to know, okay, I need to buy this stock now. I need to sell this particular stuff now. So it takes a real understanding of how these people work to be able to design for
Mm-hmm.
that solution. And I don't think the tools we have are there now. Maybe in the
Mm-hmm.
future, like, it's continue to continue learning and evolving to create those very high complex some problems that it's solving. That's just for initial designs. Later on, you do research, people, you get pain points of the users, you have to go back and rethink the design. So something generated now might not work, like, you might need to go back and rework it. So your mind still has the problem solving mind still has to work, like we mentioned earlier, with the business needs, with your constraints for building, like, can my engineers build it in xyz amount of time? You need to call the shots and determine that. So yeah.
What I hear you say is, as designers, we must know like the nitty gritty of the business we work in.
Yep, exactly. And I also wanted to kind of add to that too that, these tools learn day by day, the AI tools, and they learn by feeding them information. Okay. As companies are very, very like, sensitive about their data, putting it out there, unless if each company builds their own AI, or they work with an AI company to say, hey, don't put our information in your public domain, put it within an internal servers. There's only a limited amount of information that you can put on these AI tools, which means that you as a person need to have a subject matter domain. Now that might change in the future, you understand, but there's some information, for example, that I can't say on this call or put out there because it's sensitive to the company I work for. You don't want to put that into an AI tool because you don't know what it's going to be used to help somebody else do something else somewhere. So, yeah.
Thanks for calling that out. Like privacy is something that is really important. So if you are using any of these tools, for example, Chat GPT, and you want to generate a prompt, please make sure to be as abstract as possible. That way you're not putting really specific information about your company or yourself if necessary. And then you get the general idea of what it is asking you to do as a solution, and then you build on
Yep.
that. I think we've had like a really insightful conversation. Do you have any final
Yeah,
words?
so my final words is like, the world is evolving, definitely. As I've heard people say, oh, should I be an AI designer and all that stuff? I'm like, like, keep aware of the trend of what is happening and the changes that are happening in our world. Stay in touch, help to automate your processes, and just keep abreast of the changes, like, and I'll also always tell designers right now there's a lot of hype and things going about AI, which I, in my personal opinion, feel some people jump on like a bandwagon of a trend. Do not follow the trend. Focus on your problem solving and use AI as a tool instead of saying, "Oh my God, the next thing is AI," and everybody's jumping on AI. We've had that in the past with things like Web3, crypto, NFTs, and all that, and they're still there, but it's not the rave like it was 2 years ago or 1 year ago. So be very careful.